What's up, guys? What's up, everyone? To another episode of the Football Inc. podcast. My name is Raymond Jean Antonio, Coach Ray. I'm an entrepreneur, coach, former NCAA Division One player. My guest today is a former Big Sky football alum from the state of Washington. He helps, youth to pro athletes, maximize their potential on and off the field through sports performance. He's been in the game for over 10 years. I'm glad to welcome Coach Ford right here. Thanks for being here, Coach.
No doubt, no doubt. It's all good. Appreciate it. It's an honor.
Of course, of course. So, just to get this thing started, I just want to ask you, how's the family? How's everyone on your end?
It's doing good. Yeah, so just everything's been good. Just transitioning from, an old facility to our new facility. So we just launched our academy this year for our middle school kids, and they're in school now. So it's been a little bit of transitioning, but definitely coming together.
All right, I'm really excited to kind of get to learn more about that part, of the whole story. This the brand new part, and before we get started, I always like to ask all our guests, what does football mean to you, ultimately?
I think when I think of football, I think of the process. I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's the only sport that you train and practice more than you play games. So it's a process sport. So when I look at football, I think when I define football is obviously it's something that changed my life. So I'm forever grateful and forever obligated to spread the word of football. And when I see football, it's not just the X's and O's, it's the process that actually gets you to the field. So
Mm.
that's kind of my definition.
Really love it, man. And obviously, right now, you work with all kinds of people, all kinds of athletes. I'm just curious to know from the beginning, young Tracy Ford down in Washington, how were you growing up? Did you always wanted to play football? Is it part of your makeup, your family, or you kind of stumbled upon the game?
I think we're a football family. Obviously, I'm the youngest of two older brothers. Both older brothers played football. Both of the brothers played at a high level in football. One of my brothers now, he's currently the running back coach at Oregon State. My other brother's
Mm,
obviously embedded into what we're doing has been coaching with me and building our program for the past 12 years. So I think growing
love
up,
it.
obviously, everybody's dream was to play in the National Football League, right?
Yep.
And um, so, you go after as hard as you can. Had the opportunity to play in Montreal, which was awesome and amazing. Was on the Grey Cup run. So it was a phenomenal journey. But it's always been something that's, like I said, it's just been embedded into me. Um,
Yep.
it's it's helped programmed, my life in general, and it changed it and had a positive impact with it.
Really cool, man. Really cool. And I see you went to Bellevue High School. If you could tell us a little bit about, what it was playing there. How was your journey there?
Yeah, I think I was really fortunate to play for a phenomenal head coach who had a huge impact on my life. Butch Gontroff, he won 11 out of 13 state championships in his run, his 13 years
Man.
at Bellevue. He's the national preps max preps coach of the decade in the 2000s. So till this day, I mean, right now he works with mentoring some of our young coaches as we start transitioning and help grooming coaches. He is helping with our program as is right now. So, there was one person I knew football and understood the process and really was there to help student athletes get to the next level. And he prided himself on that. So I think just the journey of being at Bellevue, understanding, the championship mentality, and also seeing a different side of the world. In my opinion, Bellevue's a lot more of a wealthier community, not from
Yeah.
where I grew up at. So seeing how certain individuals operated and utilized the connection and network that they have in that community was something that was extremely helpful for me in my adult life as I started to transition out of playing football and being back in the community. So I think that was it was a really good culture change for me. Something that I needed it to get out of the city of Federal Way and see something, a world at a different view. But also helped me understand the power of network and the
Yeah.
power of I think doing things that I think we again you hear the word being used so loosely as generational wealth, but being in a
Yep.
community where you see a lot of the kids that their dad had something set up for them, and I look at myself at 38 years old and how that how what their dad did set them up for success later on, and what that kid's grandpa did set their father up for success. So
Mm.
just seeing that and understanding that is very motivating for me as
y-
I transition. And me as a father, I have a 12-year-old, I have a 10-year-old, I have a 9-year-old, I have a 3-year old daughter. So just being
Okay, you
able
got
to,
four.
we got four in the family,
Wow.
yeah. So just seeing how being around that circle of network, right, a positive network, and seeing how that is, it's like, all right, transitioning to real life into business. It's like, all right, these are the things that help. Let's just face it, people like us, people like us, skin tone, we don't usually have those things, those opportunities
Yep.
because they haven't been set up for us the way that some of the other cultures, right? Or we could just call it culture. We ain't got to
Yep.
use black and white, but but how other people have set their kids up. So seeing how that is, it's like, all right, cool. I want to do that and be that significant face for the brown skinned kids like myself, right? That grew
Mm.
up and try to help educate them on what that looks like, help educate and set my son up, my kids and my family up for success. So they're in a setup that was set up by their father, just like these other guys are doing it, right? And
Yep.
now I'm able to impact some of the student athletes that we get to do the same thing for them. So just having them think outside the box, think bigger than football, but utilizing football as that platform and the leverage to do incredible things in the community and have positive impacts for their kids.
Man, I think that's awesome. And I find there's so much in what you just said that I really hope that people grasp. If I can take it back just a little bit, first you had mentors,
Yeah,
you had mentors, and now you're kind of in the same position, right? So you're kind of giving back what has been given to you. And the beautiful thing about football, I find, is that it's like one big chain, and we all have our link to the chain, and we all got to contribute to it, which is what you're doing. Second thing, man, is the importance of culture. I believe also, sometimes, especially, and you said it right on the nail, in our communities, sometimes it's not that we're not as talented, it's not that we can't do certain things, it's maybe we just haven't seen it, and just the
hmm
fact that you've seen it, it becomes real, and now it kind of manifests in you building the same thing. Having four children, I got two boys, so I'm half of
yep,
what you got. But
yeah,
man, I understand how important this is, and I'm curious to know your perspective with that. But it's so important for me to mentor young athletes and leaders, because I found this one thing. Okay, I got two boys, and I realized that even though I played the game, I'm around the game. One day, man, maybe they won't listen to me because I'm
right,
dad. Sometimes, but the more leaders that are out there, man, my sons will be looking up to them. So it kind of
right,
comes back, and that's why I'm so respectful and appreciative of what you do and how important it is, because man, it's really contributing to the game, and really because someone contributed to you also, so that's
absolutely,
super
yeah,
cool.
yeah,
I'm curious to know, man, being around great mentors, great coaches like that, and right now you're around a lot of athletes. You know, athletes develop on different timelines sometimes. You got certain guys, man, they're way more advanced. Certain guys, they develop the right habits. They build up, and especially in football. Coaches recruit out of potential sometimes. Talent's important, but sometimes you see certain guys with certain traits that will lead somewhere. Um, did you go through any type of adversity, you know, in your development, in your journey at Bellevue? Or did you just hit the ground running right away? Or did you have to kind of grow into what you became?
Definitely growth and definitely a lot of adversity. I mean, people look at what we, what I do, and they think it's, it's easy, cool, and fun, right? Hey, I want to be a trainer. I want to be a trainer, but you understand, it's not just about the training aspect, right?
Yep.
If you want to be a business owner, you want to be an entrepreneur, like everybody is looking at you, right, for the answers,
Yep.
right? You're there's going to be times where you're when your employees are feeling stressed out because they didn't get enough hours or whatnot, right? They don't see what the CEO is doing in the background. They don't
Yep.
understand that I probably didn't get paid this pay period, but my
Yep.
employees did, right?
Mm.
They don't know how the rent is going to get paid every month, right? They
Yep.
just show up and work. They
Mm.
don't know that, hey, we might not even have a lot of liquid cash in our account to pay for our rent, let alone payroll, let alone insurance, let alone in L&I, and they don't understand any of that. The burden gets put
Yeah.
on the CEO to take that load, right? So
Yeah.
when we talk about some of the adversity that people hit, right? You look at those things, right? Those small things of actually growing a business, not just being a trainer, right? It started as a trainer. I love to
Yeah.
train. I love to give back. I love to serve my community. But therefore, you saw a way that, okay, you can earn from this, right? You can earn if you
Mm.
do it the right way, right? Because there's a lot of great people and they're like, okay, unfortunately for the industry that I'm in, right, you got a lot of people that are going to train people for free. Well, I'm just training this
Yep.
person for free because I want the clout of this good player training with me so I can get other people. Well, I had to do that 13 years ago, right? When it
Yep.
was like, hey, we got to figure this out. Now it's to the point where the industry is so watered down. You have to be firm and you have to stand on product, right? Because everybody can be a
Yep.
trainer, right? But who has the best product? Who is actually going to put real program design into these athletes'
Yep.
programming, right? Who's actually going to truly develop them, which is going to take time, right? And when you
Yep.
put time on it, everybody knows time is money, right? So I
Mm.
can't just do, if you want me to give you this great product, I can't just take you to the field and do some cone drills and say, hey, I got you, right? I have to take time and make sure the body movements are correct, make sure you're with the right person for you. You have acupuncture, you have PT, you have your strength and conditioning, you have your speed coach, you have your change of direction coach, you have X, Y, and Z, so you can have the best product. Now, when I do those things, it takes time. Time is money, so you have to pay me for those that time. Pay me for that
Yeah.
service rather than just say, oh well, coach got it right. Coach is always going to hook me up. Like, no, no, no. This is a service that we have built
Yep.
off the years of doing it for through sweat equity, right? So
For sure.
I think it's hard for people to get the grasp of that sometimes, and we're walking into an industry, right, where so many people are just trying to cut their teeth and figure it out. They just underprice the market, right? When I look at this industry, they underprice the market. I mean, you could tell you've never been. You could see AMPM on one side and Shell on the other side, or you could see
Yep.
Chevron on one side and Shell on the other side. There's no they're right next to each other, but one person isn't charging $5 per gallon and the other person charging $1 per gallon. You know what I mean? And so it's like
Yep.
with this industry and this market, it's very hard to
Mm.
um to actually earn the way that you want to earn, right? So you
Mm.
have to put the time in, right? So your product has to be significantly amount better, right? So when I look at some of the adversity that you kind of run through is things like that, right? It's just building the actual business, right? And having people understand who you are. And there are things that I had to learn when I was young, freshly coming out of college, man. A lot of testosterone still pulling out, right? I'm just getting done
Yeah.
playing. You don't know how to talk
Yep.
to kids, right? And you still don't know how to talk to
Yep.
kids. You might be MFing a kid like,
Yep.
you got to know that that's somebody's child, right? So you can't talk to
Yep.
that child who's 13, maybe 14 years old, right? That doesn't really
Yep.
understand what you're saying. So you got to, so I had to learn how to slow down, tone my tone down, take my passion away, right? Not necessarily turn down my passion, but turn down the way that I communicate with certain
Yep.
individuals to know that that's how you get the best out of them. But when you're young and you don't know originally, you just go off that. So I see a lot of the younger coaches, wanting everything right now, right? I want this, I want this, I want to get paid for this, I want to get paid for that,
Yep.
right? But realistically, you don't know how to coach. You've never even been
For
around
sure.
kids, right?
For
You
sure.
haven't even you haven't even went through the educational process to understand. what type 2B muscle fibers are. You're just going off what a coach taught you in college because you played college football. So I definitely know how to get there because I was in this college program. No, 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 but you didn't study. You didn't put the work in. You didn't study, right? You didn't study. You didn't go to class. You didn't do those
Yeah.
things that are going to be, and then have the you don't have the experience, the trial and error to actually know if your product actually works. So you can't, you know what I mean? So you can't be on the same level as me, man. I've been doing that's why there's people you mentioned before. I reach out to my mentors. I reach out to people that are smarter than me in certain areas and certain categories to make sure that we're good. Prime example, my football program right now. We have our youth tackle football. We have high school spring football. I know football. I love football. However, I knew my high school coach. That's what he does. I know guys like
Yep.
Clayton Lopez, he's our director, senior chief of staff. He spent 16 years in the NFL as a coach, right? Well, I'm going to go
Mm.
hire that guy, right? I'm going to go hire that guy because he knows more than me in this space. Now I
Yep.
can actually charge for this product because but again, when I charge for this product, I got to hire this guy to go do it. So now
Yep.
that my value goes up. So again, I just think I know I kind of went around, but again, a ton of adversity that you kind of strike through, and it becomes through trial and error, right? Trial and error,
Mm.
figuring out how to build the business, right? And that doesn't, it's not just about, you know, cones, speed ladder in a field. It is about actually building a business, actually having a true product that has a process to that product of how to
Yep.
build and actually truly to develop an athlete from 11 years old till he's a NFL All Pro like a Buda Baker, like for
Mm.
example, one of the kids in the program.
Yeah, and that's what I love about your approach and what you got going on, because when you get the guys young and you have something that's adapted to kind of have them go through this process, okay, they can go from that 11-year-old all the way to the next level by really following the step-by-step approach. And when you were talking about finishing playing the game and having to learn to talk to kids, I kind of smiled because I'm originally from Canada, but I played my football down south, in the
Yeah,
U.S. And I remember coming back home. Hey, I had a tough time. I definitely had a tough time adjusting with that too, right? It's a different energy, so I totally understand. And one other cool thing I heard you talk about when you hired certain experts for certain things, um, I find within a team, everyone needs to have a role and kind of champion their role, and that's okay, because in this industry that you're in, and I've been in this industry, I'm still
yeah, yeah,
coaching entrepreneurs in this industry. I find a lot of guys, man, they come in there because they're passionate, but they don't know nothing about business, right? They don't
yeah,
know nothing about business, and it's a different thing. And sometimes they end up in a place that they never really wanted to be in. When you
mm-hmm,
water down your services, you water down your
mm-hmm,
price, people can't see your value, and you don't have a culture, and you can never be happy with that. And ultimately, um, you're helping people, I find, because you're there, right? You're
right,
building some sustainable that's gonna be there. You can't be helping nobody if you just give away all your stuff for free or
right,
undercharge for everything. You won't be there, and you can't
right,
help people. So that's really the difference. I find a good coach and a good entrepreneur, they don't just think about helping somebody, they want to make an impact. That's what they focus on.
right,
And sometimes by making an impact, man, you got to do the hard stuff. So no, man, I think you're spot on with everything you talked about, for sure. And my next question is, obviously, so you went to Bellevue High School, got the opportunity to play at the next level. I see you were at Idaho. You went to Portland State after. I had a similar experience where I started down in Mississippi and I transferred to University of Northern Colorado, right? So I'd love to know just your experience playing college football. What did you learn there? What did you learn about the business of college football ultimately also?
well, I think, seeing it from my perspective, I didn't understand it in college, right? I went to the University of Idaho. I was recruited by Coach Nick Holt. That's who the guy that brought me in. The next year, I had Coach Dennis Erickson, a legendary coach, come in. The next year, right after that, not even a full year, I had Coach Akey. So I went through three different head
Yeah,
coaches in three
yeah,
years, right? So
yeah.
understanding and seeing that. was like, okay, this is a business, right? They're taking the next job opportunity, right? Like
Yep.
that better suits them, right? And what I also knew is when the new guy comes in, he's going to trust his guys. He's going to recruit
Yep.
his guys, and his guys are going to play because if they're my guys, I trust them that they're going to do their thing, right? And it's my job on the line, right? As a college coach, I got to
Yeah.
put the guys that I think are going to do what I'm telling them to do the best. And I will have a little bit more trust in them if I know I'm the guy that recruited them, right? So I started understanding and seeing that. For me, when I transferred to Portland State, I was with Jerry Glanville, who was an ex NFL coach, the ex NFL head coach for the Falcons, and he did things. He said, "Hey, we're gonna treat guys like pros and
Yep.
and et cetera." And from that point, I didn't really understand. I didn't really understand that because I'm like, well, we're not pros. We are
Mm.
you know 19, 20-year-old kids. I mean, we should have team meetings and all this other stuff. So saw it at that angle. So but what I did know, I did played a lot of different positions. I started my career as a wide receiver, got moved to running back. I finished my career. I started 12 games as a corner. So going through that transition in three different position groups, I didn't understand why, right? But what it did is for long-term development for me, now I was able to sit in Division 1 meetings at the running back
Yeah.
position, the wide receiver position, and defensive back. So when it transitioned to me on my knowledge of football and how to train the athletic movement of football, well, I was
Yeah.
skilled in three different categories. You know what I mean?
Yep.
I was skilled in three different categories. So I didn't understand it then, right? But I think it was God's plan to put me through
Mm.
those type of adverse situations. You don't know what you're going through now, but God always has that plan for you. So,
For sure.
as I look into my adult life, I'm like, okay, I I understand the business of college football, going through four different head coaches in my career. I played three different positions in my career. I understand both sides of schematically what the game is supposed to look like. I've been in Division 1 meeting rooms for both positions. So for me, I felt like it was a blessing in the sky that you never really understand at that time. But as you sit back and
Yeah.
look at it later on, it was, in my opinion, just a huge blessing because now I'm educated, right? We talk about that experience and all the
Yeah.
length of your experience in all fields, and I can speak to that with firm knowledge and understanding of what each side looks like.